Hey, what's up my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 things that you should know about the December Ascension energies. Mainly, what I would like to share is that I feel like we are ending off the month, or the year rather, with a bang. Doing a lot of quick improvements and transformation so that when we head into 2018, we will be feeling like transformed human beings. Like we'll be going into the year fresh and new and more armed with self-insights and just a greater version of ourselves. So there's a lot of different things going on that you very well might be experiencing during this month, and I'll get into them right now. Number 1 is, I would say there's a theme of becoming our own authority. It's helpful to research things and to learn things and to read things, but there comes a point where, as Jim Morrison, one of my favorite rock stars, once said, it becomes a shortcut to thinking. One time he was asked by what he perceived to be an annoying, intrusive reporter, and they asked kind of an obvious, superficial question, and he said, when you say things like that, it's like a shortcut to thinking. Well, I'm guilty of that sometimes. Things that if I was just to spend a moment and think, how would I want to go about this? My instinct is to, what are other people doing? What are other people saying? Let me see what this book says, or this blog says, or let's go on YouTube. But when you do that, because we're awakening, we're realizing just how many perspectives there are. You want to look up the best diet, the best college to go to, the best state to live in. You're going to have a gazillion different opinions that are all relevant and true, depending on the local perspective of the one who's expressing that. And who better to know what to do about your life than yourself? So sometimes what I'm trying to say is you might find that you're running into dead ends, like it's becoming overwhelming and frustrating when you're trying to figure out the best diet or the best this or what to do here. And it can be stressful. Because in the past, there's a time when there's a time for everything. There's a time to do that. When you really don't have a clue, when you have no clue, it's good to do research. And usually you'll find something that resonates and it's like the perfect information for you. But that can become an unnecessary habit that we slowly let go of as we embark on this path of self-mastery and self-discovery and the realization that we already have most of the answers, at least when it comes to our what should we do? Should we break up with this person or leave them? What about the job? All of those like tough life questions, they really start to kind of fall on you. And the nice thing about that is you are the authority. You can answer them. You just haven't been asking yourself. So just give it a try. If you find yourself stuck in life, stop, breathe, and just say, what are we going to do here? It won't be long until you have an answer. I promise you. Listen from within. Number 2 is, I will say, illusions that will help you heal. Sometimes skeletons from the past emerge and then play out in our life. And it can seem like oh my goodness, life it's getting pretty crappy out there. For a time, you can seem like we can have an overreaction to situations, but there's a reason for that. It's to shed light on the reaction, on the familiar emotional reaction that is being triggered by this illusory prop in your life. I'll give kind of a minor example. The other day I was at the gym, and the gym I go to, the way the locks are in the locker room, there's like these little knobs, and you spin them, and there's 4 numbers. So you pretty much set your own code and then shut the door. And for some reason, now it's more clear to me than ever that I've always had this paranoia that someone's going to see me doing the code, even though it's like it'd be kind of a rare thing. I'd be surprised if that happens. And anyways, the other day I set my code. I flipped the numbers down. I took note of it because it was pretty cool. It was all 1, boom, boom, 11, 11. I thought, oh, nice. But when I came back from the gym, I looked at my locker, and it was like the numbers were changed, obviously, and they were like 1 number off each from my actual code. And I had like I was right. Someone must have been breaking in. I don't honestly, in retrospect, I had time to kind of think about that. And I was like, why did this happen? It was something that kind of stuck out to me. And regardless whether somebody is trying to break in or not, it's irrelevant. It reminded me that when I was younger, I had things stolen from me. I had a bike stolen from me one time in front of me. These bullies came and took it from me, and then it kind of gave me a paranoia. And then later throughout life, I've had wallets stolen from me. There's one time I came to my bike that was locked up, and the seat, I had a nice seat, the seat was gone, and all these different things. So because I had a couple of situations in like my early adolescence, I've carried that into my adulthood, into situations where there's like a different level of maturity where I don't need to be as on guard about people stealing. So anyway, oh my God, someone's breaking into my locker, there's thieves here. It seemed bad, but really it was just a little minor manifestation to help shed light and to help me uncover a part of my past that is no longer serving me. It's a waste of energy to walk around weary of people stealing from you. And in fact, I would even venture to say that holding on to that would eventually have a louder manifestation, someone actually stealing from me to send home the message that I don't have to be on guard, which seems like a crazy paradox, but if you haven't noticed, that tends to be how it works. So if you're having situations in your life unfold that seem to be really like provocative and evoking a lot of intense emotion, then stop and you can ask yourself, this reaction of mine, what does it remind me of? Was there ever another time in my life where I had this similar situation and theme unfolding that created this reaction? Many times there's a lot of self-insight and emotional release inherent in these sort of like what seem to be huge problems. Number 3 is living more in the moment. That's such a nice idea, and we all do our best. But sometimes, I would say the nature of this ascension that we're all kind of connected to, it puts a sense of urgency, not like scary, but life starts to not work when we are out of the moment. And the consequences of living out of the moment and doing things the old way tend to be more consequential. And the natural byproduct is the realization that I should just be more in the moment. Not have to map everything out. It's exhausting. No wonder we're so unhealthy and stressed as a population. Because our mind has taken complete charge of our existence, and we just like let this little computer, this little aspect of our totality, think it's running the show. It thinks it needs to run the show. But I learned as of 2 weeks ago, actually, through a very intense ayahuasca trip, I was shown very clearly, and not that I've practiced this perfectly since, because I haven't, but it seems to be a theme. It's that truly the right action is always somewhat obvious if we can just be in the moment. I tend to be an over-planner. I'd over-plan. I'd realize, oh, I want to lose some weight, or I want to get in shape, or I want to make a change or something to my lifestyle. And I'd map out this specific plan. And on paper, it makes sense. It's very sound. It's very pleasing to the logical mind. But when it comes down to it, there's usually a lot of tons of unforeseen variables that make this rigid plan not applicable in all situations. But because of my mind's insistence on it, it creates all this unnecessary stress when, lo and behold, I could have just been in the moment. And now it allows me the freedom to flow with the variables that are constantly cycling and ebbing and flowing through me as I go through life. For a long time we've been hearing, like, we have everything we need to heal, to grow, to be happy, to be abundant. And I think this month is going to show us that that's actually a fact. That's true. If you just start to utilize yourself, your soul, your intuition more as a legitimate resource for navigating your life, which is a very contradiction to the old way of doing things, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much smoother life goes. Number 4, a theme that I would say needs to be talked about. It's just your typical Mercury retrograde type of energy and just type of situations that result from it. Meaning, things in your life breaking down and not working, which is annoying, but always does a great job of shedding light onto areas that you could improve. And it's coming at a perfect time, as I said, seeming to go nicely in alignment with the theme of charging into 2018 like warriors of light, like freaking human beings on a mission, ready to rock and roll, feeling clear and crisp and motivated and passionate. That's all a desirable state of being, but sometimes we have all this stuff going on in our life, in ourselves, that's preventing us from being able to embody it. And the retrograde can sometimes do that by, again, throwing complications into your life. I made a whole separate video about this, uploaded a couple days ago or one day ago. If you want to get more into this point number 4, you're welcome to watch that. Maybe I'll leave a card or something above. Lastly, and this is just more not my intuition, this is something I'm seeing very blatantly in my life with my coaching clients, the comments, just people I'm communicating with who are all like you guys essentially. It's a lot of people are becoming inspired and feeling guided to start sharing and expressing and spreading their light. It can be wishy-washy when this happens, because on one hand, it's exhilarating, it feels right, and it's exciting. The idea of it is always very exciting, and sometimes we can feel so faithful in our ability to do it. But then also, because it's kind of a grand gesture, a grand notion to contemplate, there can be a lot of, like hesitation. So it's like it can be kind of an awkward transitional time. But I say this, if you feel that, go for it. Coming from someone who went for it a couple years ago, like I'm doing now on YouTube, I never felt 100% ready. I never felt like 20% ready, quite frankly. I just did it. And you can do it too. And in doing it, in doing the thing, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says, you gain the power. You gain the experience and the wisdom. It can't come prior. And I don't mean, when I say spread your light, express, that doesn't necessarily mean anything like big into the mainstream where you're sharing in front of people necessarily. This can happen in many, many different ways. A lot of you guys ironically are saying, hey Vic, help, I want to grow a YouTube channel, I want to get out there when I start this blog. That's one way to do it, not the only way. I was speaking to a client today, and it's so beautiful. I'm going to try not to get teary-eyed. It's such a beautiful thing. She's just hearing her story. She was explaining that there's someone in her life, an ex-boyfriend, who's accused and committed a pretty heinous crime, a difficult thing to forgive. And yet, even though everyone sort of like ostracizes this person, she's contemplating like reaching out to him, because she wants to give him another chance. She really wants to understand what would cause a person to do such a thing. I'm not going to get into it. It's personal. I didn't tell her I was going to share about this, so I'm going to leave it completely like neutral. But anyway, the notion that she feels inspired to reach out and forgive this individual is as much of a gesture of spreading light and higher consciousness and real forgiveness as anything I've ever heard in my entire life. So it doesn't mean you might feel that passion, and it might just be a real awesome person and bust through some of the social barriers that typically keep people bound from expressing their truth. But anyways, if you feel that way, you know where I stand. I say go for it, because I think we all know the world needs it. The world needs courageous people to start following their heart and passion. And if you feel that, I wish you well. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope you got something out of this video. I will see you tomorrow for another one. Have an amazing day. Peace.